Uh, as always, a bit of a disclaimer before we start tonight's show. Before we start tonight's program, this is a reminder that this episode will address various topics we've discussed before, but we'll also talk about gaming addiction. This topic may be sensitive to some of our viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. We remind you to please consult your doctor, your mental health professional, your outreach group, your sponsor, or specialist before adopting any change to your dietary, physical, and/or mental health regime. If you have any questions and want options with respect to mental health, contact SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. The service is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and is a confidential free information service for individuals and family members facing such stressors. Also, if you're facing suicidal crisis or emotional distress, and need to be put in touch with a crisis center, call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. It's 1-800-273-8255. Or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can also text the word HOME to 741-741. Those resources are also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The other disclaimer, as we talked to on this show within the last month and a half, is regarding multiple sclerosis and the work that the National MS Society does. The National MS Society is a collective of passionate individuals who want to do something about MS now, to move together towards a world free of multiple sclerosis. MS stops people from moving, but the National MS Society exists to make sure that MS doesn't. To contact the National MS Society, please call 1-800-344-4867. Again, 1-800-344-4867, or go to their website at nationalmssociety.org. And on that, let's begin. In 2018, the World Health Organization added gaming disorder to the International Classification of Disease, Volume 11. Tonight, we're going to talk about the prevalence of gaming disorder in a panel discussion. This is the Venture Forward. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, and welcome to the Venture Forward. I am John Venturini. I am a recovering addict of overeating, obesity, drinking, alcoholism, and compulsive gambling. And it's an honor and pleasure to see all of you this evening on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Tonight's topic is something a bit different in many different ways. One, we're talking about something that I have not necessarily faced in a while, in that of problem gaming. We've talked about compulsive gambling before, and there is a tie between compulsive gambling and gaming addiction. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. The other thing is, and this is more of an inside Venture Forward sort of tidbit. This is the first time in almost 2 seasons that we're actually doing a Venture Forward with 4 guests. And I gotta say, these four guests have done the show in one capacity or another, and it is a complete honor and pleasure to have all of them on. So we will talk to all of them momentarily, but I want to say hello to all of you. They're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're going to start with someone who knows someone who knows one of the guests really darn well, and that's Felice. Felice. Hello, Marilyn. And Marilyn says hello and good afternoon to Felice. And Sarah says, hi there, JV. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Hi, Felice. Hi, Marilyn. And Sarah says, getting close to the 1 year mark with gambling. Yes. Yeah, it is. We are very close to the 1 year mark. And if there wasn't anything that's sticking out here is the fact that the gambling basically was a situation that turned itself into other things, and I'm so glad that I am not dealing with that much more any these days, because of the fact that I realized I had so much unsecured debt, and I'm taking care of that through bankruptcy. We'll talk more about the bankruptcy in the next few weeks. It's going to come up again as there's been a case number now, and that's basically coming together. So needless to say, it's definitely a very important part of this story. Giovanni, what's up to you? Hope you're doing well. Sue says hi to everyone. And Felice says hi to Eric and Sue. It is Eric. I'm sorry. I didn't see the second comment. Eric, how you doing? Glad you're doing well. And Marilyn says, JV, I pray you're doing well. I am doing a lot better. Thank you, Marilyn. It's been a really tough week last week. I'm starting to feel better. But as they say, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. That's the best we can do. And speaking of, I am really excited to bring these three people on the show. Most of these people you know. One of the people that are commenting knows very well. LT, Ashley, and Paul, how are you? And you guys are on mute. So as soon as I said that, of course, there is mistake number one. Hang on one sec. Yeah. Unmute. Hang on. Oh, yeah. This is the part where yeah. Hang on. 1 second. Yeah, you definitely know the guest really well. I can't believe this is happening. Hold on. Yes. Keep counting. You know, this is funny because it reminds me of the other stream you did the other day, Paul. All right. Okay. Mic overlays. Yeah, of course. I had everything down correctly, and now, of course, this happens. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll figure this out. There goes LT. Bring LT back on. LT, can I hear you now? No? Yes? Maybe? All right. Hold on. Oh, man. This is funny. The microphone. Interview. Help. That's great. That's fantastic. Of course. Please stand by. Help. Click the microphone. Yes, we're playing games. So nice to be here. Yes, that's great. hang on one second. Actually, going to go back to the previous slide and then go back to this slide. And yeah, we're going to have laughs about this for days. Hold on. Okay, so you can still hear me. That's great. Let's see if I go back to this and I could see you, but you guys are in the green. What the heck is going on here? Hold on. Want us to call in? Yeah, let's do that. Guys, call in again. I'm gonna knock you all out, and we're gonna knock you back in, and live video, guys, live video. All right. So how's it going? LT's back on. LT. See if I do this. If I go over here to main and I do it this way, and I do something like this, not that one. I do this over here. LT, I should be able to hear you now, maybe? Yeah.
Yes, I hope so.
Okay, now I can hear you. Yay. And I'll get the other. See, I got this wonderful overlay and everything, and
there it goes.
That was great. And now I have this, right? So now let's see what happens when I cut over here. Paul, can I still hear you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Holy, oh my God! Now we're cooking with gas. Now
we got it going.
Now we're cooking with gas. That's incredible. That's fantastic.
Ooh, I gotta go.
Yeah, it was a great show, and I'm glad all of you could join. It was phenomenal. It was a great time whatsoever. Ashley, for some weird reason, I can't get you on screen. What the heck's going on here? Hold on.
Technology, baby. It always
it's terrific, isn't it? All right, got this.
Ashley's silhouette.
There.
Before, Paul, it was
12 minutes in. I figured certainly the way I was going, this is gonna be 25 minutes before it rectifies itself, right?
That's the way it works.
Should I go through the comments and see how much? Yeah, let's do that. That's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. This is before everything happened with Team JV Awesome Sauce. Apparently, that comment was made before everything started going down the hill.
Sarah, we did not mute ourselves to drive crazy. How evil would that be?
Oh, it would be. It would be, and I brought this comment up before. Paul, Mr. Haas was thinking, "Are we playing games?" Pew pew. I can't stay, but I dropped a thumbs up. Thank you, of course.
I love how red your face got, John.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it? The struggle is real. Quiet place. Do over. Should I start from the opening again?
Clock and everything.
Sarah says, "Did they all mute themselves and make it crazy?" No, I did it all on my own. And now here's one person that's gonna have a really good laugh about this. Sammy, how are you? Glad you're doing well. Is it me, or was this stream only 5 minutes? Ha 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 ha. That's a 4-hour. That's good. And totally redeemed yourself. Yeah, I like to think so. And certainly in minutes we'll get to the comments at play here. How are you guys doing? LT, Ashley, Paul, outside of not being able to hear you guys?
Doing great.
Doing much better today for me.
Some introductions for some of you that are new here, that don't know these folks. We'll start with LT Weaver. He's first time he's doing the actual main show. So LT, tell us about yourselves. Tell us about 1 minute or less.
My elevator pitch. I'm LT. I'm from Recovering Addict. I founded that little organization about a year ago. We have a YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff, and we talk about addiction. And we have a community. We're more than just making videos. We're an actual community of people who love and support one another in times of need, hard times. We have 24-hour support. And basically, we're just a giant this whole new world we live in, digital family that can rely on each other to get through tough times. Life on life's terms can be tough sometimes, and we just need somebody to talk to, and just somebody. And when you say stuff out loud when you're going through it, it just takes the power out of it. And to have somebody that's empathetic on the other side listening, that's what we're all about.
That was great, LT. And I gotta honestly say, LT runs an incredible organization in that recovering addict. His group has provided such an amazing place for me. Let's turn back the clock 8 months, 9 months, in the sense that it is hard to get that sort of level of treatment when, and I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to be demonetized, but when AA is closed down because we're under quarantine and this, that, and the other thing, to get that sort of outreach is absolutely amazing. And LT, you're incredible at what you do. I am also very grateful for folks like Nicole and Sober James. All of you are amazing. Sober James does a great job as well. All of you have such an amazing community, and I am appreciative of all of you. So, LT, I'm glad you're here tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to go clockwise. Paul Burke. Paul Burke, someone who usually joins me for the VF Talks, is finally here on the main program on a Thursday night. Paul, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hey, yeah, I usually come here on Friday and just kind of goof around. But no, it's serious. So, yeah, so I teach. I used to run an improv theater, and I teach improv, and that brought me a lot of joy. And now I have a YouTube channel, and my goal is to make people laugh. And if I do that, then I feel like I accomplished something. And also, we do a lot of gaming on the channel as well. So that's that's what I do.
Very cool, Paul. Thank you. And Ashley Blake's a name that you haven't seen on this show before. It's amazing. Ashley, I've read a lot of amazing things about you, but I don't know who. It's funny. We joked about this before. Ashley is, I have named her the resident therapist of the Venture Forward. And this is now the 4th episode she's doing on the main show. And Ashley, I think we'd be remiss if you didn't give yourself at least a 5-minute introduction. So go ahead.
Okay, it's not going to be 5 minutes.
I know.
I am a trauma-informed outpatient therapist. I do forensic work, addictions work, and trauma-based mental health work.
Very cool. It's great to have all of you on the show, and you know, the one thing I said in the pre-roll before the show began and before I cut everybody's audio, I was talking about how people were really forming to gaming addiction in the events of the last year and change because of the new normal that we're living and everything like that. It's sort of the only solace people have when they're not going out to parties or out to dinners or what have you. So it's not a surprise that we are talking about it and how much that's gravitated in a lot of the conversations that we've seen. LT's definitely seen it before in a couple of his episodes as well. I figured we should talk about it because there are so many correlations between this and gambling addiction. And it's amazing when you start figuring out the sort of isomorphisms between what you do gaming versus that of gambling. It's just, there are a lot of things that are similar in both worlds. We'll start with you, Ashley. I mean, from the therapeutical sense, from therapy, what have you seen in those settings?
So with this lovely year we've had, there's definitely been an increase in the overuse of gaming. It usually starts out as a healthy coping skill and goes downhill. It's also often used as a substitute addiction. So in the land of recovery, we talk about, people giving up drugs or alcohol, but then forming new addictions, gaming being one of them, gambling's one, over-exercising's one as well.
We the one term I think we've talked about previously on the show is how something like over-exercising can be looked upon as a good firefighter as far as gap filling is concerned, but anything in excess can be a horrific thing, right?
Exactly. Anything in excess is a problem.
Yeah. Let's go LT. What is your sort of as far as gaming's concerned? I know you were playing Call of Duty the other day, and I know you're doing that, but you also have had a thing with your leg too. So I mean, I get it. But gaming and you, how is that sort of how do you look at gaming these days?
It's definitely designed to capture you, to gain as much time, your time as possible, and then to reach into your pocketbook as well. and each platform, that's their goal. I'm a gamer. I love it. I've been playing games since Nintendo, since Mario Brothers, and I love first-person shooters. And I literally have since my leg. I've been on the couch since Sunday. Today is basically the first day I've really gotten up and done anything else. But I've been binge playing Black Ops. It was free, right? So they gave me a little taste. They gave me, it's like that first little bump. And I've been playing it. And I upgraded my gun and all. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm really good at freaking video games. And so now today I go to log on and the game's not there. And so yeah,
Wow.
my experience is they're addictive. It touches the dopamine. It does all of that. And I love gaming. I could easily become addicted to playing video games.
It's funny you say that, LT, because I think of the last gaming addiction I had. That's not gambling, and I think I dumped way too much money, and I'm sure the U.S. bankruptcy court doesn't want to hear this one either. In the sense that I put a lot of money into a game called Mobile Strike, and it was. I look back at it now, I'm thinking, boy, that was really pay to play more than anything else, but they find ways to capture you in and get you addicted and playing over and over and over again. And you start making friends in the community and you're playing more, and then you're forming, groups in Discord and, Gilded and whatnot to build that community. It's like you waste hundreds and thousands of dollars to come up with the right weapons and the right sort of gear to take out whole entire villages or whole entire armies or whatever the sort of right analogy is.
You're absolutely right. I was reading through some articles before we jumped on here, and one of the quotes that I pulled out of that article is, every human being needs a connection, and video games give us that. And on top of that, I saw a thing where it really, for like ADHD type people like me, that don't like to go out in public type people, it offers a place to hide, but then yet be social at the same time.
Paul, I know you do a lot of gaming on your YouTube streams and whatnot. It's more, from what I could tell, it's more of the conversational sort of games, like basically the murder trivia party and stuff like that. But then also the game that I make fun of, where you're trying to find who murdered who, and you're in space and someone's getting parachuted down, and I keep on forgetting the name of it because it's funny.
Do you mean Apex Legends? What?
Is that seriously what you're talking about, Apex Legends?
No, I'm not talking about
Okay.
that.
Oh, you're not. Oh,
You're in the spaceship with the 10 people and
Among Us.
Among Us. That's the one.
Sir, there is no parachuting in Among Us. There is.
It's
How dare you? How you've blended games, sir.
I blend all the games, don't I? So outside of the fun games that you do with Cribbage and Among Us and all that fun stuff, the game with the rapping robots, what other games do you play?
So yeah, no, that's a great point. Like for me, it's a huge social component. Being able to like hang out with people and just kind of interact with people is a huge thing that I'm in it for. So fortunately, I love first person shooters. It's super fun, like Apex, Call of Duty. Thankfully, I'm pretty bad at them as well. So if I ever get close to getting addicted, I usually just get so angry because I'm so bad that I don't get addicted, or I haven't yet got addicted. But yeah, I do it for the social component. There is that rush. There's absolutely that dopamine hit when you're playing those games and you're dropping into the the fight and everything, and you're like, there is that rush of excitement, and there's that rush of just one more time. And I think the more you play it, the more you're just like, oh, one more time, and I have this weapon now, and I have this upgrade, and oh, cool, I have a new skin. I want to jump in the game and show people the new skin of the gun. So it's interesting, man. They're good, and like the number of psychologists I think that are getting involved in the gaming industry is really interesting. So
that's a really great segue, Paul. As if you couldn't write that better yourself. Ashley, tell us about what sort of games you play and what sort of games that you find yourself playing these days.
Me, the only thing I play is Animal Crossing. However,
oh, do you? You build?
I do. I love Animal Crossing.
Oh, how can you not? You're building out an island, making it look all pretty.
It's how I relax. But
I love it.
I did live with somebody who very much was a gaming addict. And yeah, that was always interesting where come home from work, gaming. I wake up still gaming. Yeah.
What was it like? World of Warcraft? Was it like an MMO sort of thing, or?
Uh, Destiny 2 mainly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
It's funny.
so I mean, I
Sorry.
think across all those games, I mean, there are a whole different treasure trove of different games that are being played. As far as me, as sort of middle age in mindset, I'm more of a person who plays like Scrabble. I'll spend hours playing Scrabble, and I don't know. I kind of have a fear about the sort of addiction I had to Mobile Strike, and I really don't want to go down that road again. So
Mm.
it's like, what's the best way I can basically pass time without spending lots and lots of money, especially given the events of the last few weeks, right? So yeah, not to sound like an very middle aged Scrabble playing, Monopoly playing guy over here, but that's basically what it's come down to. Sarah had a great point. She said, if it comes up on screen, of course, the currency of time takes a big hit as well because again, Ashley, you're mentioning that from your roommate and the fact that he would play hours upon hours upon hours. Um, how I mean, how many hours is enough hours? I mean, you just keep playing and playing and playing.
I mean, it would start as like a social thing, right? We're all going to do a raid together. And then suddenly it's like 4 a.m. and you're still playing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, and not to tie the two together, and we'll talk about exactly how the sort of there's a giant correlation, but gambling's the same way, especially if you go away for a weekend and you gamble. It's amazing how you'll wake up like 11 o'clock at night, 12 midnight, and then gamble for like hours upon hours upon hours because that dopamine rush keeps going and going and going. Um, it's just amazing how similar they are, and that's why the World Health Organization has similar ICD-11 codes for problem gaming and gambling addiction and whatnot.
Knowing I was going to be on this show, the last 4 days I've been playing that game, I've been hyper aware of what my body's reaction to it is. One thing it made me think of is back when I was drinking, and I had a drinking problem big time. And I would get to that blackout point where you're just about to be on the verge of completely forgetting the whole night, but you're still aware, you know what I mean, right in that area. And I remember telling myself during the drunk, like, this is it, and you just live in the moment. That's what life's about. You're going to enjoy this moment right now, right here, right now. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
remember it tomorrow. And after a few hours of gaming, I think back on the games I played, and I look at the clock, and I'm like, man, it's been 3-4 hours. I think back, and I can remember one or two key moments. And so, in a sense,
Oh,
gaming strips you of that time because you really are only living in the moment in those games. And that's something that stood out to me over the last 4 days.
Mm. Sarah asks, how have you spent the last 8,760 hours?
Right. I was listening to a guy who had a video game problem, and he had logged on World of Warcraft 5,000 hours over an 8-year period. He
Oh my
he was going to
god.
be a valedictorian, lost his job, got kicked out of his this guy lost a lot of stuff because of his video game addiction.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
it's I think what's really. Can I add one quick thing,
Yeah,
John?
absolutely, absolutely.
I think what's so interesting about so many of these games, I mean, even Animal Crossing, is that there's no end point. Like when you used to play
Mhm.
Mario Brothers, you knew when you were done, like because you found the princess. But now it's like the games are like, since you're playing with a bunch of other people, like every game is different and every experience is different. So you kind of get hooked into that, like just one more because this time is going to be different. This time I'll get a win. Um, this time I'll do better. And it's like there's no definitive. I mean, there is still like stories like, God of War or The Last of
Mm-hmm.
Us. Like those are just very narrative driven experiences. When you're done, you're done. Um, but so many games now, like even mobile games, like which is a huge industry. I was reading a stat that said globally it's a $77 billion industry, just mobile games, which are like all free to play. So, you figure out how it becomes a $77 billion industry if it's all free to play.
Mm.
Um, there's I was talking to somebody and he's on level 1200 in this game because they just keep churning out levels to keep you hooked. And like when I talked to him, I was like on level 34, and I'm like, I don't want to spend that much time on this game. That's crazy. Yeah, so it's pretty amazing how they just keep churning out content, even the slightest differences keep you hooked.
Who knew that Candy Crush Saga can get you that well enveloped in that? Never
Do you know
Are
how
you
much
gonna
Candy
hit?
Crush makes? It's
mind.
amazing.
Mm.
It is a lot.
How much?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, where was it? I had the stats. It made in 2016. It made 1.1 billion.
Oh god.
Oh my
That
goodness.
just that game, and now it's making about 750 million annually. It's wild.
Wow.
So yeah.
Sarah asks, do you play multiple games with separate groups of people at the same time?
No,
That'd be hard. I don't.
I don't either. I'm a first person shooter only, Modern Warfare or Black Ops, and it's the new Black Ops now since they gave me that first taste free.
It's all about the first taste.
Yeah.
It's funny when I used to play online poker, I would play like 5 or 6 tables at a time. So I can understand how that question would make sense for someone who's playing hands upon hands of Texas Hold'em or Omaha or whatnot, and they got 5 or 6 games going, and they're trying to figure out board, table position and whatnot, that sort of thing. So I understand that question big time.
Are you gonna hit on how the games are designed for the dopamine drip?
Mm.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut
No,
off
no, no.
somebody.
And it's very good that you asked that question because the next question is what's the revenue model? And I think from that perspective, it's how to draw the player into playing more. Now, we take something like, we'll take Mobile Strike for a second. The fact that they make the game very easy and luring for you to start playing a game at very minimal investment, but then you find that there are other players out there that are going to basically disintegrate your army, your camp, etc., unless you start paying money to build better sort of equipment, better sort of artillery, that sort of thing. That's one revenue model. Another revenue model that I've seen is basically in the most sort of simple, basic game, paying for not paying for cheats, basically, in the sense that if we take something as simple, and I can't believe I'm going there, but I'm going there. We take something like Words with Friends, and you think about the power tiles that you can to, the scramble tiles to figure out exactly where the great word placements are. That's a revenue model. You end up paying for special tokens that are not necessarily dollars, but to get the tokens, you have to pay money to get the tokens. So that's another question of what the revenue model is for these games. But there's a whole bunch of different models out there.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels like
I
a lot
was.
of the revenue models feed into like impatience. Like
Yep.
they will drip you like one big token like every 3 hours. But if you pay $10, you can get 10 tokens. Like it's a time saving, isn't it? Like they
Mm-hmm.
really position it well. And then you go spend that on like, you know, like getting a new skin for your gun, which, you know, costs money.
Yeah.
And then they have the rewards too on those little mobile games. And if you log in, say 30 days in a row, every day you log in, you get a special reward that's better than yesterday.
And
So
if
they
you
get
don't log in for a
crazy.
day, you can pay to get the one you missed.
Yep.
Mhm.
God forbid life should happen, right?
It's just so clever. Like they're like setting up all these little habits, like all these like little micro habits. It's like almost like this gigantic machine and like all these little cog wheels, and like you're running on all these like little these little wheels. So if you miss one, that's okay. They got you hooked on 3 other habit formations. It's interesting.
That's why there is a mass sort of intrigue and mass sort of exposure for the IPO for Zynga. If you think about Zynga and the games that they produce, those mobile games, That's why they
Mhm.
were such a profitable company out of the get go. Now, I don't think they're performing well now, but there was so much of an intrigue and a hoopla, so to speak, about that IPO.
There, have you heard of B.F. Skinner? Skinner's Bach experiment back in the day. They're using that psychological model with us. The way that our brain works. You know, everybody knows the dopamine drips, and that's our reward system. If you drink a Coke, you drink one Coke. Wow, that was delicious. I feel good. It was fuzzy. Your dopamine hits right, and so the next time you go grab a Coke, oh yeah, it's good, but it's not as good. You need a little bit more because the dopamine receptors get desensitized, and pretty before you know it, you're drinking Coke 24 hours a day. They use the same psychology in these video games as they will reward you like the game's free, right? It's free game to join. You level up super fast. They get you on that first rush of your dopamine before you start being desensitized, and then they turn it into a earn it, because
Hmm.
then the next level is even harder. Maybe you got to pay a little, and that dopamine level with the desensitization is increased now because you've earned that level. And the design of them are just insane.
Yeah, it's just amazing how easy it is to be addicted to these things. And then going back to Sarah's comment, and Ashley, basically said this as well, how much time you end up investing
Oh,
with this game. It's crazy.
Mhm.
I guess one of the things I wanted to address on the program tonight is how do you know whether or not you truly have a gaming disorder, as is in the ICD 11, and also that sort of addictive dopamine rush. And there is much akin to what we talked about when we were talking about gambling addiction back in season one. There's a list of questions that you can answer to figure out exactly where on that scale you are as far as addiction's concerned. And I'm going to actually ask Ashley, do you know the actual scale to these questions, or you just know the questions?
It's not a scaled question, so to speak. It's the difference, really. How many yeses are abuse versus addiction.
Mhm.
Okay. Before we begin the questions, let's talk about exactly what gaming disorder is. This is from Wikipedia, but um, the ICD 11 added gaming disorder to the International Classification of Disease back in 2018. Placed in a group of disorders due to addictive behaviors, along, as you guessed, gambling disorder. So, C6C51 is gaming disorder. 6C50 is gambling disorder. So they're correlated in the two. The latter was called pathological gaming, F63, in the ICD-10. And then, aside from gaming disorder, the ICD-11 also features hazardous gaming, QE22, an ancillary category that can be used to identify problematic gaming which does not rise to the level of a disorder. So when we talk about those games, whether it's a game of, World of Warcraft or Mobile Strike or Candy Crush Saga, I mean, there is the sort of great potential of that sort of behavior cutting in. And needless to say, there's a questionnaire to go through that. Before we do that, though, Sarah had a comment for LT. Sarah says, LT, as someone in recovery, how do you see your relationship with gaming? Do you see the behavior as comparable to a substance or not?
in the sense of uh, addiction, and it could make my life unmanageable. Absolutely. The last 4 days, like I said, I've been on the couch and I've been hypersensitive to the effects it's having on my body, and not only on my body, but my mood and the way that I treat others. And I think one telltale sign that I could become addicted is if I was in the middle of a game and my kid interrupted me, or my wife tried to talk to me, or the internet flickered. I would get mad, just like if I was withdrawing from a drug. And so I think there's a high potential for a highly addictive personality like mine to become that addicted to where it would make my life unmanageable, because I would definitely stop putting off responsibilities. I don't want to do this. I'd rather just sit here and do that. I mean, and my motivation to do anything else but the game, I could feel was definitely crouching in.
Mm, mm. It's funny. It's one of the questions that are in the questionnaire, so we're going to get through that right now. And again, um, in a spirit of full disclosure, and I want to thank Ashley for getting these questions from the Mayo Clinic because they really tell the tale. It's amazing, though, how many of these questions, as I mentioned before, are similar to the gambling addiction questionnaire. So there is a high correlation between this set of questions and the same sort of questions that you would get for gambling disorder and others. So we'll go through them and we could weigh in on each of these as they pop up here. So the first question is this. Firstly, do you spend a lot of time thinking about games even when you're not playing or planning when you could play next?
Absolutely. Should we take this test and see?
Yeah, let's do it.
So since that game was given to me for a week free trial, and this morning when I got on to just sit down after my legs started kind of hurting, so I sat back on the couch and I was like, oh, I'll play a couple games. Turned it on, and the only thing that popped up was purchase, and the pit in my stomach, and then thinking about, okay, priorities, bills to pay. It's $50, so it's 25% off right now too. And today those thoughts have been rolling through my head about how I could, justify spending $50, whatever, and be able to play tonight. So I would say guilty as charged on that one.
Guilty as charged. Paul?
I don't think about games too much. I mean, maybe like right before a stream or something, like figure out what we're gonna play. But aside from that, not too much.
Okay. Ashley?
Yeah, I don't think about gaming that much. But as a therapist, I do actually use this question quite often when I'm doing a drug and alcohol evaluation.
Yeah, it's very similar. Like, it's mind-boggling. The more that I learn about addiction, and I don't care what you're addicted to, sex, gambling, video games, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the same thing, and the person that's addicted. That is my opinion.
I always look for if there are other addictions or possible addictions there. So this is the question I'll ask amongst other things.
Ashley, do you find that, video game addiction can be a minor, it could be a major sort of addiction in a joint addiction situation?
Oh, most definitely. There is definitely a correlation between drug use with uppers and video games.
I could see that.
Yeah.
The question therein, and I could tie this to another, and we could tie it back to the gambling for a second. There was a period of time, I think, as I was going, even, losing the weight or whatnot, I needed something to act like a firefighter. And there were days, nights where I was gambling. Now, again, different than gaming, but the sense that there was that sort of behavior that I was enveloped in time around going to the casino or playing online, and I was thinking about gambling all the time. And even when the gambling didn't go correctly, the time was then spent dreaming about it, having nightmares about it. Those sort of questions that, in the gambling questionnaire come to the precipice as well.
Speaking of gambling, did you know when they're luring people in, so 10 to 15% of the population have addictive personalities, and then within that 10%, there's another 50% that are just highly addictive, right? And they call those people in the video game world whales, just like the gambling world in casinos.
Yeah, I think we refer to them as whales. We refer to them as sharks. We refer to them as more derogatory terms for those people that are easy money. You talk about that more at a poker table, but yeah, it's amazing how much that resonates between those two worlds. The next question is this. Speaking of, it's almost like I knew that was the next question. Do you feel restless, irritable, moody, angry, anxious, bored, or sad when you try to cut down or stop gaming, or when you're unable to play?
The addict in the room will answer, I guess. Yes. And I've noticed my mood change over this last 4 days, because you can only play for so many hours, because when you're playing a first-person shooter, it's fast, it's intense, and I'm one of those high KDRs, right? 4+ KDR. I got to get 30 and 10 minimum. And you can only do that for a couple hours until your body's like out of dopamine for a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to recharge. And so then you're playing games and you're not as intensely focused. Your adrenaline's kind of run out. And then I just shut it off, because you're at that point, there's no point in trying to play when you're not at top focus, right? And then I noticed self-pity would come in. And then I'd start thinking about what I'm doing here with Recovering Addict, and I'm like, no, and then start thinking like I could just go back to my other job and do this. And I just started feeling depression and stuff coming on. I'm like, holy cow, 'cause like I said, I was hyper analyzing the last few days of what the video games are doing. So yeah.
I'd say like if I'm like really looking forward to playing the game and then all of a sudden like somehow I can't, I'd say I'd probably be angry and kind of because I was looking forward to it. So I'd say yes to that one. Yes.
Okay. Ashley?
Once again, the only thing I play is Animal Crossing, and not that often.
I mean, do you get pissed off when you can't play Animal Crossing?
No.
Do you get obsessed picking out drape colors in Animal Crossing?
No.
Some people might.
I do get annoyed when I go to an island that has oranges, because my island has oranges, and that just annoys me. But
oh, interesting. I'm making a note of that.
oranges don't get as much money in Animal Crossing.
Angry about oranges.
Yes, very angry about the oranges.
Hates citrus.
Hates
Cool.
citrus.
Noted.
That's good. It's very good. Paul, I will be honest with you for a second. I've actually had that sort of feeling with something that you do, in the sense that you used to have those sort of, the sort of live streaming games when we were doing Trivia Murder Party every Saturday. And the one Saturday I couldn't make it, I was really upset about it, because like I really enjoyed it, and I do win a lot of them. So, but still, I was very
kind of
much
ended
looking
with quite the flex there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm pretty amazing, Paul. I was upset because I couldn't be amazing.
That's right. I couldn't be my amazing self. Right.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know how to deal with audio and Ecamm. I'll keep on beating myself on that. Sure, why not? The next question along that list of questions in there, I think it's 9 or 10 questions, is: do you feel the need to play for increasing amounts of time, play more exciting games, or use more powerful equipment to get the same amount of excitement you used to get?
Yes, and I'm speaking on first-person shooters, but it's not I have to upgrade. I have to upgrade through the levels to get the gun that I want built. And then once I have my perfect gun built with the right sights, the silencer and all that stuff, that's definitely my goal. But that doesn't give me the excitement. Well, getting there does, because then once I get that gun, I destroy people, right? So yes, for that. And then I get excited when I'm looking forward to is that last screenshot where I'm number 1 on Team Deathmatch, and then I can analyze all the numbers and show, and I'll take a picture. I got like 6 pictures on my phone where I just destroyed people. I'm like, yeah, and then I take a picture of it, and I look, and I'm like, I carried that whole team. Look at that. And that's the ultimate goal I'm looking for, because that's when I'm finally like, look at
do you take a picture of that screenshot and put it on the fridge?
I send it to people. I send it to Felice. Well, look at this KDR.
What's Felice's reaction to that?
Good job, babe. She's a gamer too.
Very cool. Paul?
No, I can't think of needing more exciting games or anything. I'm pretty content with what I got. So
Me too.
Ashley, the curtains in Animal Crossing?
Well, when I'm seeking more excitement, then I play Lego Harry Potter.
Oh!
And what's worse is I happen to contact, a 6-year-old to help me every once in a while.
That's a really good really good segue, because Sarah's question's this: what are the demographics of gamers?
I was watching. Oh yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, with our generation, and I'm assuming everybody in the room's close to my age. I'm 41. And we're the generation that grew up. We were born with Atari, transitioned to Nintendo, on through the Segas and Super Nintendos up until we got Xbox, PlayStation, and all the big boys now. Um, so I think the demographics now are slightly under 50 and below for online gaming, and all the way down to 2-year olds, 3-year olds.
Mhm.
I watched a TED Talk from so it was 8 years ago, this TED Talk, and she was saying that the average gamer age at that time was 33. So I would guesstimate then it's probably like around 37 or 38 is the average age of a gamer now. So, um, yeah.
Ashley, from what you've seen, in the clinical setting, what are some of the ages of folks that have gaming disorder that come to you about it?
Mainly in their mid to late 30s, sometimes into the early 40s. Predominantly male in terms of disorder use of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, LT, you saying those words about, Atari. I mean, I've played Atari, I played Nintendo, I played in television. I go that far back. I've had many a console in my life, and it was definitely a thing I played in my up to my adolescence, even in college. But I think once I started working and whatnot, I think I stopped playing at some point because I knew I could spend a lot of time playing and in sports games. LT, it was always sports games with me.
Mm. Yeah, I never dug the sports games.
It's more of a Madden NHL sort of guy.
A lot of my friends were like that too.
We play countless hours of NHL and Madden in a dorm room. It's good times. Good times for sure. Sarah says, is there a gender breakdown? More male?
So I just looked it up. So it said in 2016, it was 59% male, 41% female. But in 2019, and you can see it throughout the years, now male is 54%, female 46%. So it's definitely coming almost, it's getting to that 50-50 split.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, there are definitely more women in gaming and more women doing things like playing first person shooters.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
My daughter, she plays Fortnite, and I've seen her win the battle royal, and she's 9.
Oh, yes. Those kids and Fortnite.
Yeah. Hey, have some more coffee?
the next question on the list is, have you lost interest or reduced participation in other recreational activities due to gaming?
No, not so much. Gaming's never really taken me down. It could if I let it. I'm trying to think of back in the day, in the Halo days, when I was actually using meth, like you said, speed and first-person shooters. I would spend a few days on that, and obviously I was doing meth and stuff, so do the math. I wasn't doing anything responsible. But then the last few days, I had the excuse of sitting on the couch and not doing anything. So no, not so much. I might neglect a thing here or there, maybe run late because of a game, but not really, putting things.
Yeah, Halo made me think. I think back in the day, Halo for me, I think I did definitely back in the day avoid other recreational stuff because I was playing. But now, no, it doesn't conflict with anything. Also, there's not like a lot of other options right now, recreational wise.
But gaming.
But gaming.
Ashley?
No.
No. Okay. I figured I'm going around the horn. I figured I'd ask. Yeah, I think
I picture Ashley at night just playing her game and her head starts bobbing, and then she's like, "I'm done."
Yeah. No, or I go, okay, I'm bored now.
when my mind was basically in the depths of gambling or poker or whatnot, I know that I lost a lot of interest in other things. So that's how big that sort of drip is, even in the gambling realm, for sure.
One thing that saved me from, I've gotten caught like twice in mobile games that were fairly interesting. I couldn't remember. I can't remember what they were. It was like a build an island type of game, but it got me for like $10, and the benefit, the reward for me at that was not justifiable, and it made me mad. And I think because of my loathing for gambling, I always hated gambling.
Mm.
I lived in Vegas, and I think the most I've ever gambled is maybe $50 throughout my whole life. Just because once I see that dollar slip away and I lose it instantly, I'm mad. I can't handle it.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've always wondered, and the thing is, when I was living in Connecticut, I lived 45 minutes away from Mohegan Sun, and that was a disaster because there was a lot of time spent over there. And we're going back in my Connecticut days. We're talking before 2012, right? You know, you move to, you know, when you find that other states and municipalities allow gambling, open casinos, not necessarily on tribal reservations, but the fact that you go to a Pennsylvania and there are 11 casinos in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and you go to West Virginia and there are, you know, casinos there. You go to Maryland, there's casinos there. So I mean, there's no escape. And then you transcend the last 2 or 3 years, and now there's the online gaming as well that's available in, like, it's got to be 35, 38 states now. So I mean, it's like, if you want to gamble, there are places to gamble for you to keep on doing that. It's horrible. So you have to come to that sort of line and say, I can't do it anymore. And then have other things happen to you in the sense that, wow, I really shouldn't do that because I wasted so much money doing it. Sarah had a question in the sense that, are toy companies also gaming companies' gateway drug?
To a
For
certain
sure.
extent. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Well, I will say now, because now we're putting in kids' hands tablets just for kids with games. In that sense, yeah, they are.
They get the same excitement out of it as we do, and then crave the same thing.
Mm.
I'd say it could definitely lead to that.
That's why the best punishment now is to take screens away from kids.
Put them in a room with nothing in it.
Give them a book.
Yes. Reading.
I was looking up an article about does your child have a gaming problem? Is your child addicted to gaming? And it goes through a bunch of questions like we're going through now, like screen hunger. Does your child seem to look at the screen like a starving man would look at food? Do they disobey to get it? You know, do you got to take away the phone to put them to bed? A bunch of stuff like that. So
Do they cry for 5 hours because you took away their tablet?
yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh,
So, I mean,
that
if
was a
there's
babysitting
already-
experience I did.
I have to ask this question because he keeps on appearing in camera. How is Link with the gaming?
Since the accident, because of the TBI,
Mm-hmm.
traumatic brain injury, and his one eye is blind to look directly out. He can see peripherally, but since then, he just doesn't. He don't like them. He can play Minecraft for 15 minutes, and I don't know if it gives him a headache because he has to dominate with that one good eye. But he just gets bored with it. He likes to draw, and there's this cool company called Crates in a Box or something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but we bought that for him. And once a month, it's $20 a month. Once a month, this box comes in, and it's designed by engineers. You open it up, and it's got directions, and it uses the box plus what's inside to build like a little walking robot or all kinds of stuff, a little light swing. And so we kind of went more the engineer route with his brain and in video games. But Millie and my oldest boy, they're like me.
I have to say I'm not surprised. Link is a very brilliant kid. You're really blessed, and his talent art wise, incredible.
Yeah.
Quick question from here we go. Sarah, who benefits from such vast numbers of addicts of all kinds?
Well,
Mob
with-
bosses.
I was going to say with gaming, it's
Yeah.
gaming companies.
Yeah, I think Gateway Drug who benefits from. I think it was a continuation of our last question. Yeah, I think that's the true winner there is the corporations that come up with the sort of games and whatnot. Especially if we go to the gambling arena, which I could talk more to in the sense of like Shufflemaster and IGT and all of them. They're the big winners. The major casino companies across this country as well. I wanted to take a quick sense of time, and I know I apologize for the 5 or 10 minutes of mutinous in the beginning of this. We're at 5:30 Mountain, 4:30 Pacific. Do you guys have a little more time to finish the questionnaire?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I got all that.
Awesome, fantastic.
Addicted to this game right now.
Let's see. Next question is this. Have you continued to play a game even though you knew about the negative consequences, such as not getting enough sleep, being late to school or work, spending too much money, having arguments with others, or neglecting important duties?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
No.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yep, for sure. I have.
Yep.
Yep.
Two of
Yeah.
them for me would when I see the arguing, because I notice the irritability. It's almost like when you're hangry and everything's annoying.
Mm.
When I'm in video game mode, everything's annoying. If
Mm.
I'm not, if I can't, anything that takes away my attention, to dogs barking, to anything.
Absolutely. I think the thing is, you compound that with the gambling question. It's not only the being late to school or work, or basically deviating from personal responsibility to spend more time doing that, but also spending too much money and money that you don't have. And someone asked me the other day, well, with what money were you basically doing this with? And I would say on margin. It was margin sort of money. It was money that was basically not mine. It was unsecured debt that I was basically employing for gambling. Now I can imagine we go to gaming now. We think about the amount of money one can spend playing Mobile Strike or any of the Zynga games or whatnot. I can't help but imagine the same thing happens there.
I got a question for you, John.
Mm.
So, in our cycle of addiction, and obviously when I'm in the middle of playing a game, I get interrupted and I'm irritable, right? So we know when gamblers start thinking about, let's say horse races, they start looking at the paper, they start seeing the names, and at that moment, the addiction's kicking in, right? You're acting out. And now, say you've made the decision, I'm going to the racetrack, I'm going to place this bet. Now, say you're from looking at the paper and you're on your way to throw the money down, you get a phone call. Has this ever happened to you from a sister, a friend, and they deviate your attention and ask for you right away? How did you ever get irritated in that moment, and how did you handle those if that happened?
Yeah. And the thing is, when I was playing video poker or slot machines or sitting at a blackjack table or a poker table, I wouldn't pick up the phone. I'd pick up the phone later. I'd call them back later, because like at that moment my mind was encompassed in something else. When we're talking about poker, I'm thinking about something on multiple different levels of not only the psychiatry or the psychology of the game, but also the mathematics therein. If we're talking about blackjack, we're talking about keeping count of the shoe. If we're talking about video poker, I'm keeping track of selecting the right hand, all of that, right? So to be interrupted, there wasn't any sort of level of interruption because my phone was in my pocket. And usually it was on airplane mode. So,
interesting.
By the way, Felice had the name of that. By the way, was I gotta get the other graphic out of the way. Tinderbox was the name of it.
Tinkerbox, yeah.
Tinderbox. Nathan says, before I join in, yeah.
What's up, bruv?
How you doing, Nathan? Long time no see. Glad you're doing well. Talking about gaming addiction. So I'm glad you're here to join us in that conversation for sure. Let's see. The next question is this. Have you been deceptive or lied to family, friends, or others about how much you game? Or tried to keep your family or friends from knowing how much you game?
No.
Long time ago, probably my 20s, but now I don't think I don't.
No.
Not even with the Animal Crossing, Ashley?
No.
Okay, just making sure, just checking. Yeah.
I've never been one to hide, and if you've paid attention to my show and heard my story over and over, maybe my meth addiction. Okay, I hid that just because it was so illegal and what I was doing was illegal. But like drinking, everybody knew I was drinking, and I didn't hide it. I wasn't a closet drinker, and in the same way, I wouldn't have. I would just like I'm telling you now. I binged Black Ops for the last 4 days.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
I do think there's a level of acceptability to gaming.
Yeah, it's like drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing how much there's a correlation between all of them. Quick comment for Nathan. Just by the way, this is set up. We got the 4 panels here, but if you want to ask your questions or put your comments in the comments, you're more than welcome to. I'm glad you're here. Needless to say, I'm really glad you're here. Let's see. There was 2 more questions here. Do you game to escape from or forget about personal problems or to relieve uncomfortable feelings such as guilt, anxiety, helplessness, or depression? And when you give this sort of questionnaire, it's a required question. This one and the next question.
Yes. And I'm going to keep referring back to this last 4 days, but my leg is messed up, right? I can't move, and it's depressing because I'm a busybody and I like to work out. And so therefore I justified binging Black Ops.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
I'd say yes. I mean, anxiety and stuff for sure. And sometimes I'm depressed, so I'm like, I'll jump into a game. But then it usually just makes me more depressed. So
Yeah.
weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
I use Animal Crossing to help cope with my own anxiety.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
so relaxing.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Ashley, you really got me interested in Animal Crossing. I gotta say that the amount of sort of calming effect that game has is incredible. I think for me, yeah, I definitely used gambling to forget personal problems, to relieve from uncomfortable feelings. Quite frankly, there was a lot of things going on that was more appealing to me sitting in front of a video poker machine and all of that. And that was basically why I did that sort of thing, for sure. The last question is this. Finally, have you risked or lost significant relationship, job, educational, or career opportunities because of gaming? And again, in the questionnaire, this question is also required.
I'd say no for me personally.
LT?
No.
Yeah.
No, not from gaming.
From
drugs, yes.
From a job perspective, no. From a relationship perspective, yes. From an educational perspective, not really. And from a career perspective, not really. So mostly relationship than the other 3.
Now I will check in with you at the next show. If I walk out this door and she breaks up with me and says it's about video games, I will let you know.
Yeah, please do. And we'll have that in
I want to
in
just
your
update
comments
you
and
guys.
notes.
Yeah, and I'll have to adjust my answers.
Nathan says that last question, he says yes, by the way.
All right. So with that questionnaire, 3 or more is considered an addiction. If you have 3 or more yeses.
3 or more?
3 or more is considered an addiction.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
Hey, Paul, I got a Discord app you could join.
Yeah. I might need it. I think I got 3.
My gamer Discord.
There you go.
I have an open invite for Nathan, by the way. Just because the way this frame is set up with the 4 phases. I do VF Talks tomorrow at 5:15 Eastern. I don't know what time it is over there. 10:15 his time, I think. LT?
It's 12:30 in the UK.
Okay, so it's tomorrow at about 12:15, 12:30. I do VF Talks. We'll continue the conversation tomorrow, and I would love to hear what you have to say about it. It's an open invite, please. The link will be in the post for VF Talks tomorrow. So keep an eye.
What time is that one again?
5:15 Eastern, 3:15 Mountain, 2:15 Pacific.
Okay. Cool.
Paul, you gonna be there tomorrow?
I think so.
Awesome. LT, you're welcome. Ashley, you're welcome. It'd be great to have you guys back on again tomorrow. But I'll
For
have
sure.
room for I won't do this crazy sort of thing with the frames and everything, though. It should be room for one more in tomorrow's conversation. So, definitely. So, Nathan, the link will be out on the Venture Forward page for VF Talks tomorrow. And take a look. Please join. It would be great to get your perspective on this conversation, but also to catch up. Because the VF Talks is a place where we all hang out and catch up and do that sort of thing. Anything you want to plug? Any final comments on gaming addiction?
I'm really glad that you planted this seed in me to focus more on this type of addiction, because that's another bunch of people out there, even parents worried about their children, that we could potentially reach and help, because it at the end of the day, I'm starting to see that addiction can ruin lives. It doesn't matter what it is, if you're not, I just thank you for broadening my horizon and piquing my interest into more things.
Paul?
And I was going to ask, I thank you for going through that list of questions. That was great. So Ashley, thanks for grabbing that. And John, thanks for going through that. Is there a link in the description if anybody watching this wants to take that questionnaire at a later time or something?
What I can do is I can append the link to the Mayo Clinic questionnaire on the YouTube video, but also the Facebook video as well. I don't think I'll be able to do it on Twitch, but I could do it on the other two.
Yeah. It was helpful. It was great. Thank you.
Ashley?
Yeah, I enjoyed doing this. I think gaming addiction is something we don't really talk about as an issue, but it is, and it's far more prevalent than anyone realizes.
Anything, obviously, LT, you want to plug Recovering Addict real quick?
Yeah, Recovering Addict, we're on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and early Sunday mornings as well. And then we have Zoom meetings. We have a Discord. We have a daily meeting at 1 o'clock Mountain Time for anybody that's struggling with substance abuse, gaming abuse, any type of addiction. We're there. And we're just a group of people that love and support one another.
Absolutely. And LT, again, I'll say it. Thank you for the work that you do. You run a really great community. I'm very appreciative and very thankful for you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Is it just anything? You mean like if people want to like follow me or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Just click on the link in the description. Oh, self-promotion. Sorry. If anyone wants to watch silly things or hang out in the community over on my YouTube, come on by. It's a really nice. It's a very nice supportive place. It's a very chill. We play very chill games. Always good music and conversation. So,
what's the name of your channel? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh, so it's if you look, it's I can't change it. And back in the day, I thought this was such a clever name. So it's My Thoughts Now, but you spell my M-I. I'm embarrassed. Well, I'm ashamed of myself. I got to go play video games now because I feel ashamed and anxious.
Oh.
So,
No, that's not good. Let's talk through this, Paul.
No, I gotta go, guys. Yeah, if you just look up, or if you type in Paul Burke, you'll see me there. It's like purple hair, little icon. So
can't miss the purple hair. Really
can't miss the purple hair.
No. There it is.
So,
just subscribe to you, Paul.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks.
What I'll do is I'll in addition to including the Mayo Clinic questionnaire for the gaming, I will include your link LT and include your link Paul, as wacky as that is spelled. Ashley, anything you want to plug or promote, or anything you want to just talk to? No,
I don't stream. I don't do any of that. But
you stream here.
Any of you, I do. I come on here from time to time.
Actually, can I ask? So I'm thinking about getting an Animal Crossing. Any hot tip for anybody looking to get into the Animal Crossing world? What should I be pulling up? What should I be planting? Should I be scared of spiders? What's happening? Tell me. I need to know.
Well, you should be scared of the spiders.
What of a fence? Do I fish?
they can
What do I
make your
do?
life very bad. So
I
can
know
the
this.
wasps.
Here, tarantulas will get you. Any
The
tips? Though?
tarantulas and the scorpions.
See,
But the tarantulas are worth a lot of money, and there is a tarantula island you can go to out of pure luck, and that's a great time.
okay, Tarantula Island. Great. Good
It's
to
a
know.
great time.
It's
It's worth a lot of money.
Oh,
So
good
you
to
can
know.
expand your house.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes, you build a house and expand your house. You invite
And
people
then
to come live on your island.
And then you just give them a tour of the house, and you're like, "This is all tarantula money." You're like, "This is all."
Pretty much.
Elo is an Animal Crossing player, so these tips and tricks have come in really handy, for sure.
There
Yay.
you go.
Aye, aye, aye.
What's the tips? Tarantula
You know,
Island.
it always ends with Animal Crossing, doesn't it? Just does.
And John, you can add me on words.
Yeah, we
I'll throw
can
that
get started
power.
with that. It's probably a lot easier than a lot of the intrinsic Call of Duty games that are out there, and you guys are just not there.
I'm just shocked you still play Words with Friends.
Are you just playing with yourself? Who else is playing on it? It's... Do you just have two accounts and you're just always versing yourself? You're like, good move, John.
Good move, John. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, you know, it's I like to play a handful of games, and no, they're not against myself. Dear God. Needless says hi to Sarah. Howdy, we're just wrapping things up over here. Good to see you once again. So LT, Paul, Ashley, great having you guys on the show tonight. I'll see some of you for VF Talks tomorrow, but you guys definitely had a really great and unique perspective on gaming addiction, which is a very serious thing, especially given the events of the last last year and change. I'm really appreciative for you guys joining the show tonight.
Appreciate that.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you, John.
This was great.
Have a good night. All right, so let's go back to main here, and then get rid of the extra camera because again, why should that go correctly? Oh, that's just right. That one, right? You know, they say progress, not perfection, right? Well, this was a good example of progress, not perfection. But I'm very thankful for Ashley, for LT, and for Paul. It was great having all of them on the program tonight. Let's talk about the next few shows, shall we? Tomorrow night, VF Talks. Basically, the show where we talk about anything and everything. No topic and just a good time whatsoever. 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific. That's on Friday nights. And then Tuesday, we're going to have a conversation about multiple sclerosis. A very dear friend of mine is participating in the MS Walk. So we're going to talk about the MS Walk and also the MS Foundation, MS Society rather, and what that foundation has done for many folks that have multiple sclerosis, their friends and their families and whatnot. It is an incredible organization. In fact, let me bring up the graphic real quick. If you're curious about the National MS Society, they can be reached at 1-800-344-4867. Again, 1-800-344-4867, or you can visit them at nationalmssociety.org. They're an incredible organization that is doing so much for multiple sclerosis, helping by way of research for disease-modifying treatment, for a potential cure somewhere down the road, but also helping folks that have multiple sclerosis and their friends and their family. And I know I'm very thankful for them as I am gravitating to that based on the news that was given to me in January, but also the demyelination I had back 10 years ago. So again, 1-800-344-4867, nationalmssociety.org. So tomorrow night, 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific, VF Talks. Until then, I'm going to tell you the same thing I say at the end of every Venture Forward. Stay safe, stay sane, stay strong, stay sober. You're worth it. I'll see you tomorrow night, 5:15 Eastern. Good night.